It is exactly 3:15 a.m. in the heart of Tehran, and the so-called impenetrable fortress of the Middle East is about to experience the most violently humiliating 300 seconds in modern warfare history. The night sky suddenly fractures, ripped apart by a blinding flash that vaporizes the Supreme Leader's multi-million-dollar underground security compound into a smoldering crater of twisted steel and shattered Iranian pride. If you think shutting down a country's entire air defense grid takes weeks of grueling dogfights and massive casualties, then you are completely unprepared for the terrifying reality of American technological supremacy. Stay tuned, because the physics of destruction in the next few minutes is about to change the map of the Middle East forever. In a world where the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps thought they owned the night, the United States Air Force was already pulling the strings from the stratosphere, turning their billion-dollar defensive dream into a spectacular, fiery nightmare. Let's step inside the cramped, outdated cockpit of an Iranian F-14. A Tomcat cruising comfortably at 25,000 feet, where the overconfident pilot is practically patting himself on the back, completely oblivious to the reality that he is already a dead man flying. Down on the ground, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is throwing a high-fiving celebration inside their concrete bunker, staring proudly at the glowing screens of their crown jewel, the heavily hyped Bavar 373 long-range air defense system and the Khordad 15 missile batteries. They just pumped billions of dollars into this massive network of Ghadir early warning radars, arrogant enough to believe they had successfully built an impenetrable dome of steel over Tehran. To the average observer, this wall of high-alert surface-to-air missiles looks like an absolute death trap for any invading force, a formidable shield promising to shred American fighter jets into expensive aluminum confetti. But folks, here is the lethal error. While the Iranian operators are busy admiring their glowing radar displays and dreaming of shooting down American jets, they are completely blind to the silent predator lurking in the stratosphere right above their oblivious heads. Cruising smoothly at an untouchable 70,000 feet, the highly classified RQ-180 stealth drone is already soaking up every single electronic emission from the capital, mapping the invisible battlefield without making a single sound. Hundreds of miles away, resting safely out of reach of any desperate Iranian retaliation, the RC-135 volts per watt rivet joint electronic reconnaissance aircraft is quietly slurping up those Bavar 373 radar frequencies like a vacuum, processing the enemy's multi-million-dollar secrets in real time. The trap is meticulously set, and the overconfident Iranian military is enthusiastically walking right into a digital slaughterhouse. If you ask why their massive defensive investment is about to become utterly worthless, I will tell you an unbelievable military secret. If you were a traditional military commander staring at the glowing threat rings of the Bavar 373 and Khordad 15 surface-to-air missile batteries protecting Tehran, your first instinct might be to order a massive, bloody frontal assault that would cost billions of American tax dollars in lost aircraft and dead pilots. That is exactly what the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is praying for as they sit in their bunkers, eagerly waiting to unleash a terrifying barrage of deadly interceptors into the night sky to defend their Supreme Leader's multi-million-dollar underground compound. But only those with a sharp strategic mind realize that the United States military does not play by the outdated, primitive rules of brute force, preferring instead to turn the enemy's own billion-dollar technological investments into humiliating financial liabilities. The brilliant tactical dilemma here is not how to physically blow up every single radar dish on the ground, but rather how to blind an entire nation using nothing more than invisible waves of energy and a few gallons of jet fuel. As the RC-135 volts per watt rivet joint orbits safely out of harm's way, its advanced sensors intercept the exact emitting frequencies of the Iranian Ghadir radar network, instantaneously packaging that highly classified telemetry and blasting it across the secure Link 16 data network. This is where the true financial and tactical masterclass begins, because waiting in the digital shadows is the EA-18G Growler, a specialized electronic warfare beast equipped with the devastatingly effective AN/ALQ-218 tactical jamming pod. Instead of dropping a $2 million cruise missile to destroy a single launcher, the Growler's pilot simply flips a switch, directing the aircraft's internal generators to power up a concentrated microwave beam that shoots directly into the Iranian radar receivers. In a fraction of a second, the glowing screens inside the Tehran defense bunkers are absolutely flooded with thousands of fake, ghost-like American fighter jets swarming their airspace from every conceivable direction. The panic inside those concrete walls is palpable as sweat pours down the faces of the Iranian operators, who suddenly find themselves entirely cut off from reality, frantically trying to lock onto targets that literally do not exist outside of a computer glitch. If you were the Iranian commander right now, would you hold your fire and risk letting a real bomber through? Or would you start screaming in sheer terror to launch every single expensive missile you have? Inside the fortified command center of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the atmosphere instantly shifts from overconfident arrogance to absolute, pants-wetting terror as the radar screens light up with hundreds of incoming American bogies. The Iranian commanders, blinded by their own hubris and entirely ignorant of the invisible electronic warfare storm enveloping them, start screaming orders at the top of their lungs, authorizing the immediate launch of their prized Bavar 373 and Khordad 15 interceptors. With deafening roars that shake the earth, dozens of $2 million surface-to-air missiles erupt from their canisters, tearing through the 15,000-foot cloud cover to hunt down the invading American armada that literally does not exist. Inside the bunker, the heavily bearded officers are already high-fiving each other, popping open energy drinks, and cheering like they just won the World Cup as their computer screens show successful detonations high in the stratosphere. They honestly believe they are single-handedly destroying the mighty United States Air Force, entirely oblivious to the humiliating reality that they are aggressively blowing up completely empty sky. Let that financial disaster sink in for a moment. The Iranian military is currently burning through hundreds of millions of dollars of their most advanced, irreplaceable munitions, all because an American EA-18G Growler pilot sitting hundreds of miles away spent about $45 worth of aviation fuel to run a generator that powers a microwave jamming pod. Most people just see a bunch of missiles flying into the dark, but those of you with a deep understanding of modern military economics realize you are watching the instantaneous bankruptcy of an entire national defense grid. Stay focused, because while the Iranians are busy throwing a multi-million-dollar fireworks display for ghosts, the real angels of death are quietly slipping through the wide-open back door. This is exactly how you dismantle a paper tiger. But wait, there is one more layer to this spectacular triple-threat failure that the Iranian generals completely missed in their premature celebration. Right as the last of their multi-million-dollar Bavar 373 interceptors harmlessly detonates against a digital phantom, the heavily fortified Iranian air defense network suddenly finds itself completely out of long-range ammunition, leaving their airspace wide open. While the exhausted crews on the ground are frantically screaming to reload the massive launch tubes, sweating profusely under the glowing emergency lights, the real American executioners are silently stepping out from behind the electronic curtain. Cruising stealthily at an altitude of 35,000 feet, the devastating F-35 Ayatollah stealth fighters have been casually watching this entire humiliating fireworks display using their advanced passive sensors, absorbing the enemy's panicked electronic emissions without ever turning on their own radars to give away their position. The Iranian commanders desperately rely on their secondary short-range Tor M1 systems to protect the critical radar dishes. But here is the genius detail that makes this mission an absolute masterclass in strategic dominance. The F-35I pilots do not even need to get close to completely cripple the remaining infrastructure, because tucked neatly inside their internal weapons bays are the AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles, explicitly designed to hunt down and vaporize anything broadcasting a radar signal. Stay tuned, because the physics of destruction in the next 30 seconds is about to permanently change the map of Tehran. With a barely audible click inside the cockpit, the American pilots unleash the harms, dropping the lethal munitions from the belly of the stealth fighters before the rocket motors violently ignite, sending the missiles screaming toward the Earth at over Mach 2. The AGM, 8-8 aggressively locks onto the frantic emissions of the Tor M1 radars, reading the electronic heartbeat of the Iranian air defense system like a homing beacon. Inside the bunker, the radar operators finally realize their fatal mistake, reaching desperately for the power switch to turn off their emitters. But it is already way too late. The supersonic missile perfectly corrects its glide path, slamming directly through the spinning radar dish, immediately detonating its warhead and instantly transforming a $30 million piece of advanced hardware into a useless, smoking pile of charred scrap metal. In mere seconds, the United States military has flawlessly stripped naked the most heavily defended capital in the Middle East, setting the stage for the true heavyweights to strike. Up at 25,000 feet, the clueless Iranian F-14, a Tomcat, and MiG-29 Fulcrum pilots are aggressively banking their aging jets through the chaotic electronic blizzard, desperately trying to lock their primitive weapons onto the phantom American armada. But if you think these outdated relics stand a chance, I will tell you an unbelievable military secret. Out of the absolute pitch-black emptiness, the undisputed apex predator of the skies, the F-22 Raptor, silently glides into a dominant firing position without ever producing a single blip on the enemy's prehistoric radar screens. With chilling precision, the American pilot unleashes a pair of AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles that violently rip through the freezing air, slamming into the Iranian jets before their oblivious pilots even have the chance to register the incoming threat. In a fraction of a second, the pride of the Iranian Air Force is humiliated, instantly reduced to two magnificent fireballs of burning titanium tumbling down toward the panicked streets of Tehran. Don't blink. Unless you want to miss the exact moment physics permanently changes history, because the sky over the capital is now completely wide open for the ultimate harbinger of doom. Gliding ominously through the night sky like a gigantic silent bat, the legendary B-2 Spirit stealth bomber arrives perfectly over the target zone, guided flawlessly by the invisible data stream of the RQ-180 drone. The bomb bay doors slowly swing open, and a gargantuan 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator detaches from the rack, plunging straight down toward the Supreme Leader's heavily fortified underground compound. Time to impact 12 seconds. Time to impact 5 seconds. The massive warhead strikes the surface at terrifying speed, its hardened casing effortlessly slicing through dozens of feet of reinforced concrete and solid bedrock like a scalpel. The delayed fuse perfectly waits until the bomb reaches the deepest sublevel before triggering a cataclysmic, earth-shattering detonation that completely vaporizes the multi-million-dollar bunker, crushing the enemy beneath the unrivaled technological might of the United States Air Force without offering them a single chance to fight back. As the colossal shockwave finally dissipates over the pulverized remains of the Iranian command bunker, an eerie silence falls upon the once heavily fortified airspace of Tehran, marking the absolute, undisputed victory of the United States military. Every single critical target on the Iranian defensive grid has been flawlessly neutralized, transforming their boastful billion-dollar shield into a smoking, dark graveyard of useless electronics and shattered dreams. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in the Persian Gulf, the American carrier strike group and its allied oil tankers remain completely untouched, their sailors casually drinking coffee while the enemy helplessly watches their capital burn. Not a single American aircraft was even scratched during this magnificent display of technological dominance, and the invisible F-35S and F-22S are already cruising back to base, with plenty of fuel to spare. But here is the detail that makes this a masterpiece of strategic intimidation. The true brilliance of Operation Epic Fury is not just the smoking crater where the bunker used to be, but the invisible treasure trove of intelligence the United States just stole right out of thin air. While the Iranian military was panicking and firing multi-million-dollar missiles at digital ghosts, the RQ-180 was quietly recording every single frantic radio transmission, classified radar frequency, and emergency backup protocol. The American military did not just destroy a facility. They flawlessly downloaded Iran's entire national defense playbook. Now, the United States Navy possesses the exact GPS coordinates of every single hidden missile silo in the country, perfectly primed for a devastating wave of Tomahawk cruise missiles the second Tehran tries to retaliate. The strategic checkmate is absolute. So, if you were the Iranian commander waking up to this humiliating billion-dollar disaster, would you immediately surrender or foolishly attempt to rebuild? Let me know your move in the comments below.